Hey guys, it is June 18th, 2025, and today I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about Gasser RC helicopters and some of the options that are out there for two-stroke engine oil to mix with your gasoline. In my previous video, I spoke briefly about the options. Some guys actually use the Coleman lantern fuel. It's also known as white gas. They like that because it doesn't, stink up their basement or their garage, so that their wives or girlfriends aren't, complaining about the strong odor of that. Myself, I've moved away from that. I use the ethanol-free VP Racing small engine fuel. It's ethanol-free, and it says it's excellent for two-cycle engines when mixed with oil to manufacturer's specifications, 94 octane. And the advantage of this is, well, number one, it's ethanol-free, so it's going to be a lot better for your carburetors. You're not going to have to rebuild your carburetors as often. It's not going to harden your gaskets. It's not going to harden your fuel line. And last year I messed up. When I stored my lawnmower, I forgot to drain the fuel, and that's a big no-no. And this spring, first time I pulled it out of the garage, went to go cut my grass. It's no bueno. I could not get that lawnmower started to save my life. I changed the spark plug, checked the spark plug. I, cleaned the air filter. I drained the fuel. I went to O'Reilly's. I bought like a fuel treatment, which I guess is a higher octane. Still, it would not start. So ultimately, I had to take it to the lawnmower shop, and they had to work on my lawnmower just to get it started. Now, in contrast, if I had been using, and it's kind of expensive, it's definitely way more expensive than pump gas. I think a gallon of this VP Racing fuel cost around $26 to $30 for 1 gallon, but it is better for small engines, and it's has a better shelf life. It's more shelf stable, whereas regular gasoline, you cannot leave it in the fuel tank, at least not for extended periods of time. Now, I had bought a used helicopter one time, and apparently one of the previous owners had left, and it probably wasn't even that much gas in the fuel tank. The problem was the gas eventually evaporated, and there was this black, nasty, oily sludge in the bottom of the fuel tank, and that's not good. But as far as right now, back from the flying field, with the VP small engine fuel, you don't have to worry about always having to drain the fuel out of your helicopter. So I'm gonna shift gears here and talk about the oils. My first RC helicopter was a Vario Benzin Acrobatic, and it was a beautiful machine. That thing could fly for 36 minutes. It had a Zenoa G240 engine, and I guess it had those long flight times because the G240 is a 24cc engine, so it's a smaller engine, and I guess its fuel consumption is a little bit less. That was built for me by a gentleman named Taylor Drain from Taylor Made Helicopters out in California. Did a fantastic job. I can't remember 100% for sure. I think he recommended Redline oil, which is a two-stroke synthetic motor oil for motocross dirt bikes. It's purportedly a really great two-stroke oil. I could be remembering incorrectly. Early on, when I got into gassers around 2010, at one point I was using the AMSOIL Sabre Professional, and one time I was using the Redline. And I also had a Vario Benzene Acrobatic built for me by Joe Howard at this was East Coast Vario, and one of those two guys recommended the Redline, the other recommended the AMSOIL. I may not be remembering correctly, but I'm thinking that originally I was using the Redline, and I'm thinking that was Taylor Drain that recommended the Redline. For those of you who have been in the hobby long enough to remember Run Rider, it was a great RC helicopter forum, and some really brilliant guys on there. And these guys would do trials. They would try an oil like AMSOIL for like 100 flights, and after the 100 flights, they'd take the engine out of the helicopter. They would take it apart, look at it, and check for deposits, scoring, wear, excessive wear on, you know, the internal parts of the engine, and, you know, they'd give a thumbs up or a thumbs down for an oil. Now, AMSOIL is great oil. I think that, you know, it's used in automotive racing quite a bit. So now you do not want to mix it at 100:1. I currently mix 1 gallon of gasoline with 32:1. There's some people who go a little bit less with the oil. I've heard some guys go 50:1. I wouldn't recommend that. You could do 50:1 in your weed eater, and it's a pretty similar engine, but the big difference is you're not running your weed eater, you know, for 15-20 minutes at a time at full tilt. So you need a really high quality oil. I stopped using the AMSOIL because I had, you know, read a post on Run Rider, and the person, you know, doing the trial, you know, using the scientific method, he came to the conclusion that while AMSOIL is pretty good oil for other applications, it just wasn't great for the two-stroke RC helicopter engines. And he found that there were a lot of deposits with the AMSOIL. So, you know, these, I haven't used these in a while. They've been just sitting out in my garage. They're kind of dusty. And then later on, I heard about the Pennzoil Marine, which is a full synthetic two-cycle oil. It's designed for outboard engines for motorboats, and I really like this one. Unfortunately, Pennzoil stopped making this specific formula of the their two-cycle oil. Now I might have a half a gallon left here. I could probably still use it, but I've had this for a long time, so I don't know how long oil lasts. I imagine it lasts for years and years, but as I said, these are expensive machines, so you want to take care of them the best that you can. Now, there was debate that sparked about the Pennzoil Marine outboard motor synthetic oil, because these motorboats are in the water. They're water cooled, they're not air cooled, and people are saying the RC helicopters are air cooled, and this is blended for a water cooled engine. Now, I do believe it was Chris Bergen and maybe his dad. I think his name is Larry Bergen. They did trials and experiments. They built some fantastic gasser helicopters up in Michigan, and you know, these guys swore by this and recommended it. And it's one of those things, you know, you have to reach your own conclusion. We can all have our own confirmation bias about different products, and the bottom line is it's your money. It's your money. You're investing in the hobby. And so since I can't get the Pennzoil anymore, I've in more recent years found out about Steel. It's HP Ultra, comes in the gray bottles. You can get it in the bigger bottle, get it by the gallon. You can get it in the smaller bottles, but it's specifically formulated for Steel. Steel's a German company. They make fantastic chainsaws and you know, weed eaters, equipment, you know, gas powered 2-cycle implements, you know, for doing yard work, cutting down trees, things like that. So with Steel, if you don't use their HP Ultra synthetic oil, it could void your warranty. If you go with the El Cheapo oil and you burn up your chainsaw, basically Steel's gonna, you know, tell you, you know, too bad, so sad, you avoided the warranty not using our high quality oil. So I'd mentioned BH Hansen, and I do believe that currently Al at BH Hansen recommends the Steel HP Ultra oil for RC helicopter.